I think we are gonna make it. So I promised myself. I made a goal. You know I like goals. I love goals. 2024. I said I'm going to record a piece of content every single day in 2024 for YouTube. Now that could be short form content or long form content, but regardless, I am going to make it happen where every day I record a piece of content. We are only 11 days. 11 days in. I almost failed it already. Today is tough. Today was very, very tough for me to sit down and be like, okay, I'm gonna record this video because unfortunately my beautiful, beautiful little daughter decided last night was going to be a night where she fell ill, and because of that, it was not a good night. Oh my goodness, it was not a good night at all. I haven't slept, but that's okay. We're pushing through. And we're going to continue this goal. And today is not going to be the day where we fail the goal. I hope you guys are all doing well. I hope your night was better than mine. We're going to talk about hidden fates. But before we jump into that, and this is why comments are so important. Comments are important for the algorithm. Likes are really important for the algorithm. So anytime you guys comment or leave a like, thank you so much for just supporting me. Like, that is the number one thing you can possibly do to support this channel, is just leave a like and a comment. And I know it's not always easy because you're rushing through stuff, but thank you so much for doing that. Comments are very, very important, and it's good not just for the algorithm but also to have interaction and to get a good sense of what other people are feeling, because right now, I said we're going to talk about Hidden Fates, and I promise we will. Palan Fates is coming out in just a few weeks, so it releases on January 26th, so we're 15 days away from the release of Palan Fates, and I really, really want to get a good pulse on what the opinion is from the community on this set. So Palan Fates, what are you thinking about Palan Fates? Like, are you excited? I've seen content creators, I've seen other people pushing Palan Fates, calling it potentially the best shiny set that has ever come out. I'm just not feeling it. And I don't know if it's because, like, I usually get really, really hyped for a Pokemon card set. I love Pokemon cards. I love studying the Pokemon cards before they even release, so I can understand attacks, I can understand how the meta might shift, and then look at the artwork, because the artwork is just, it's phenomenal, especially in the Scarlet and Violet era. I absolutely love it. But Palan Fates, when I look at it, I'm like, I feel like we've had this before. I feel like this set has already existed. I think Hidden Fates is impossible to beat. Like, Hidden Fates, as far as shiny sets go, the OG shiny set is just not going to be beaten. Shining Fates was okay, but not great. Like, it just seemed like a repeat of Hidden Fates, and Palan Fates to me kind of seems the same. I think that it had a lot of potential if they would have focused more on illustration rares and special illustration rares in the set and giving us more shiny forms of those. I think it would have been a knock out of the park, home run. I would have absolutely flocked to the shelves to just open up as much as I could, and we're still going to open up a master set. We're still going to give that master set away to one of you subscribers, so make sure you're subscribed to the channel. But I just don't have this great love of Palan Fates so far, and I do like the tweaks that they made with the baby shinies and the full art shinies. I think the gold star looks cool, and I do think that there's still cards to chase. Like, I think the Mew is absolutely stunning, the Charizard looks fire, like the Mimikyu is great as an illustration rare, but we get that in the ETB, and outside of that, like, there's only a couple other illustration rares. I really love the Clive. I know that there's not a whole lot of love on the Clive, but I think the special illustration rare Clive is fantastic. The Iono is definitely going to be a chase, so I'm still going to chase cards, and I'm not down on Palan Fates. I'm just not as excited as what I have been in the past. Paradox Rift, I had a huge level of excitement for, and already Temporal Forces, I already have a huge excitement for because of the A-Specs returning, the continuation of Paradox Pokemon. I think Temporal Forces looks absolutely phenomenal, but Palan Fates, I don't know. And I don't know if maybe I'm just crazy, and maybe I'm just a dummy phantom, and that's why I really appreciate your feedback and your comments, and maybe there's something I'm missing. So if you could let me know in the comment section down below what you think. But I don't think it's as good as Hidden Fates, and that was a really long introduction into the segue. I hope you guys are okay with it. I love you guys regardless. Thank you so much for being here. We're going to jump into Hidden Fates, and one of the great things about recording market talk videos for a few years now is that I can look at a couple years of data and piece them together. So we've got 2 years of data for Hidden Fates, and Hidden Fates originally released in, I believe, 2019, around August or so, and it was a very, very hyped up set. Hidden Fates was really the first time scalping became an issue in the Pokemon TCG. They printed Hidden Fates, they put out as much Hidden Fates as they normally would have for specialty sets, but unfortunately stores could not keep up with it, and it was like the first set in a very, very long time that Pokemon was like, okay, we're going to allocate you on these. Unfortunately, distributors had to allocate a lot of LGSs. They're like, I can only give you so many premium collection boxes. I can only give you this many ETBs because they're just, it's too in demand. It's too popular. There's not enough to go around. And this was really the first time that ever happened with Pokemon. Now, we went through that a lot during the pandemic, and not so much now, right? It's gotten a lot better now. But during that time, it was like the first time it happened. And it got to a point where LGSs were sold out so fast that people were going to Target and they were going to Walmart and they were buying these ETBs off the shelf and then selling them on the secondary market. There was a time not too long after Hidden Fates came out, so a year or so after Hidden Fates came out, a year and a half, where the ETB prices hit like $300 on Amazon. So you're looking at 6 times MSRP, which is absolutely insane. Like that's a huge, huge, huge jump, and it wasn't just pandemic driven. So that just goes to show you that Pokemon is still very popular and has been very popular for quite some time, and the pandemic just brought in a whole nother level. But then reprints happened. Pokemon decided, okay, Hidden Fates, yeah, you came out in 2019, but we want our bread as well. So we're gonna reprint the Elite Trainer boxes of Hidden Fates over 2 years after the release of it. So in December of 2021, January 2022, a massive reprint came of Hidden Fates Elite Trainer boxes, and they filled up store shelves at Targets, Walmart. Very, very difficult to find, as a lot of marketing companies only dropped like 10 at a time, and they planned on releasing them every week for a few months. So if you weren't standing in line, like first to get out there, like the pandemic was just a different animal. Very, very difficult. So it brought Elite Trainer box prices down from like $300 down at the time. A lot of stores were selling for $90, $100, somewhere around there, like much, much cheaper. Still not MSRP level, but that reprint brought all sealed product, this monstrous, this behemoth ETB that was running around like crazy, up to $300, brought it back down to earth. Not perfectly, but way down to earth. And you can see in January of 2022, about a year, well, not even a year, about a month after that reprint came, prices for Elite Trainer boxes stabilized, right? They hit 150, 160. And now here we are looking at January of 2022 all the way up to November of 2022. And then the last year, January of 2023, all up to November of 2023. And the sealed Elite Trainer box has not moved. It's basically the same point as what it has been for the last 2 years. So regardless of really where you bought it, unless you bought this in November of 2022, or it was at its low, it hit 148.98 at that time, you're pretty much breaking even right now, which is a really good sign for the future, because I think Hidden Fates is going to be a fan favorite for a very long time, and is just going to continue to have packs cracked for it. But it's very, very interesting to see how this reprint really halted things big time when it comes to Hidden Fates. And that really kind of, it makes you cautious when you move forward with your decision making when it comes to spending your collection dollars. At least it should, right? Because of how stable it's been for a very, very long time. So January up until June of 2022, it was hovering right around that $170 mark. You can see it hitting about 174 in June of 2022 before coming back down in November of 2022. That's really when people started kind of exiting the hobby a little bit. Prices came down for a lot of sealed product. A lot of singles started going up, especially those alternate arts. But a lot of sealed came down a little bit, hit that 148.98 low, and then started to gradually rise. And the last year is very, very promising. So if you look at what happened in 2023, pretty much just consistent slow growth, going back to that consistent slow growth that you look for, that where the market is kind of stabilized. You know, it's correcting. So it looks a lot better. It looks a lot better than what we've seen for the past couple of years. And it has me very excited for the potential of Hidden Fates in the future, especially 2024 and onward. As you can see in January of 2023, it right around 155, and then going up to the point right now where it's sitting at 170.02. Now it did hit 176.55 in the middle of June, but this is a very down market right now, and to not even have a 10% loss over the last 6 months is really not that bad. So Hidden Fates definitely looking very, very good, especially from a booster pack standpoint, right? Booster packs for Hidden Fates, a little bit expensive, but they've been very consistent. And then over the past year, as more Hidden Fates gets opened, has really started to shoot up in value. So you've got some mammoth swings here at the end of 2023, but still consistent growth over the past 2 years. You can see in January of 2022, this was down to a $14.98 pack. So this was a $15 pack. Not too long after that reprint occurred, started going up right away as more and more people were paying attention to Hidden Fates, kind of jumping on that bandwagon like, hey, we got to get this reprint before it shoots up again. Jumped all the way up to about $18, but then stabilized, right? Stabilized pretty much throughout the entirety of 2022, starting in June, right around that $16 mark. And then when January of 2023 hit, it was right about $17 and just started gradually climbing. Now, it did back off a lot in September of 2023. A lot of products did, right? Like a lot of products really backed off, dropped back down to that $17 mark. But now it's all over the place. Now it's sitting at $19.10 and still continuing to climb. $19.85 is a 2-year high for Hidden Fates, which is relatively expensive. But we've seen packs like Cosmic Eclipse, Team Up continue to rise, continue to climb. So there's no, really no ceiling in sight for Hidden Fates as far as what potential is. Now we're gonna spend less time on the singles. For the most part, singles have been very, very flat over the past couple years. And the big thing to understand about these singles is this is really the first set. Hidden Fates is really the first set where grading became a huge, huge thing in Pokemon. Now you've got a lot of Wizards of the Coast sets that are really big, but modern day grading kind of started taking off with Hidden Fates. A lot more people started paying attention to grading, and nowadays you have people talking about grading all over the place. But it wasn't that common of occurrence prior to the release of Hidden Fates. Not a lot of people were flocking to try and get cards graded, and then Hidden Fates, all of a sudden now you have basically every single baby shiny in that set, which has at least 1,000 PSA population. And a lot of the full art shinies, most of them have at least 1,000 PSA 10s. You're looking at that Charizard GX that we're looking at right here, which has, I think, 8,000 or 9,000 PSA graded copies, which isn't a ton when you compare it to like Pikachu with the gray felt hat, which has 15,000 graded copies. Not a ton, but those were really big numbers for a set because grading just wasn't that popular back then. So grading plays a huge factor in it as far as prices moving forward. But if we look at this Charizard GX, you can see in January of 2022, right around that $340 mark, started shooting up, jumped up to $400, and then backed off again, basically down to its 2-year low. So it was at $346.17 in January, and then fast forward a year later in January of 2023, February of 2023, it moved nowhere. It basically stayed the same where it's at. It jumped up 10% in between, but then fell back down. Now it has jumped up about 10% again, so jumped up to $384.72 is where it's sitting right now, but the high point that it's been at is $400.66, and that basically happened in 2022. We didn't get to that point again in 2023, so it'll be interesting to see how it does moving forward. Umbreon has done extremely well. So in January of 2022, this card was actually falling down a little bit. It fell down to $79.02. A lot more people were opening up Hidden Fates and kind of joining the hobby, adding to their master sets, started climbing a little bit and hit that $90 mark in June of 2022 before backing off again. And then in November of 2022, started its climb and really has been climbing since then outside of the last few months, again, during a down market. You can see in January of 2023, it hit that $100 mark, backed off a little bit, but then started jumping up over $100 again, hit $121.67 before backing off a little bit. Now, still sitting at $109.69. Cynthia also doing a fairly good job right now, not as consistent of growth patterns as what we saw from that Umbreon GX, but you can see in January of 2022 is sitting at its 1-year low of $65.31. Had some nice growth for a few months, jumped up about 20% to that $76, $77 mark, and then backed off a lot in August of 2022, fell back down to $64, but then after that really started climbing, jumped up to $70 into January of 2023, then started a very nice climb after that into August of 2023, where it hit $95.02, almost hit that triple digit mark. Now it's backed off a little bit. It's actually lost almost 20% over the past few months, like we've seen a lot of singles in the market, sitting at $75.15 currently. That Sylveon GX also did really, really well in 2023 as a whole. You can see January of 2022 climbed for most of the year up until about July and then backed off a lot and hit its 1-year low in November of $60.49. But then it started its correction again, started moving back up from January of 2023 all the way up until December of 2023. It climbed pretty much the entirety of the year, hitting that $83.62 mark. That is a 2-year high for that Sylveon GX. Espeon GX, a little bit backwards in January of 2022. Throughout the entirety of 2022, it actually fell quite a bit from $58 all the way down to that 1-year low or 2-year low of $43.33 before leveling out and then starting to rebound, right? Started to climb the majority of 2023 again, hit that 1-year high of $73.88, but then it's lost quite a bit of value again, almost 25% over the past few months. Again, a down market. That's what's happened for a lot of these cards, sitting at $55.07. That's why it is so important to track your collection, but don't pay too much attention to the values. Once you pay too much attention to the values and it starts overcoming your thoughts, consuming your emotions, that's when the hobby stops becoming fun. So put things in an app, like get a good tracker for your collection and put things in there. Continue to chase cards, but don't worry about just the values. Pokemon is very cyclical. It goes up and down all the time. And the important part is you want to buy buy at the dip. That's the most important part, or trade at the dip, or find the cards at the lowest possible value and invest in yourself. That's really what it's all about. You can see in January of 2022 for this Mewtwo GX, this one has not performed very well over the past couple years. This was sitting at a 2-year high actually in January of 2022 at $55.75. It went down pretty much the entirety of 2022, started to climb a little bit, but never got back to that 2-year high. It hit about $53. Now it's backed off a little bit, sitting at $49.71 currently. The Leafeon GX also saw a little bit later of an ascent. It fell down in June of 2023, close to that $30-$31 mark, basically hit its 2-year low again, which it hit in October of 2022, $30.90, but it's never gotten back to that 2-year high point of $40, which it hit in January of 2022, and now it's sitting at $32.09. So its 2-year low of $30.90, it's coming really close to that, only about 7-8% above that right now. The Greninja GX has been pretty much all over the place, kind of like what we just looked at from that Leafeon GX. It hit its 2-year low in August of 2022. That's when it hit $24.29. Started good growth, right? Started climbing quite a bit all the way up until June of 2023. Hit that 2-year high of $33.65, but then it fell back down very close to that 2-year low again, right around $26. Now it has rebounded about 20% since then, which is very, very strong, sitting at $30.36 currently. The Lucario GX, all over the place in 2022. Lots of ups and downs all over the place, but the market correction standpoint where things are really starting to slow down and be more level really started hitting in 2023. You can see at the end of 2022, it hit $20.26. That was in November. That was its 2-year low. Started climbing a little bit, jumped 20%, and then in the beginning of January, continued to climb all the way up until June, where it hit that 2-year high of $27.58. So you're looking about 30% growth over the span of 5-6 months right there, but then it fell back down close to that 2-year low again. Now it started rising a little bit, $23.82, but much less dramatic right there. The Gardevoir GX full art shiny, a little bit flat for the beginning of 2022. Then it fell to its 2-year low in August of 2022. That was $18.56. Started climbing a little bit, and unlike these other cards that we looked at, it's been climbing ever since. Really strong growth for the Gardevoir GX. Has been doing absolutely amazing things. Jumped up pretty much the entirety of 2023, sitting at $28.33 right now, which is just off of its 2-year high of $28.99. The Darkrai GX, this one has been going the opposite direction. So you can see started climbing a little bit in January of 2022, which was interesting because that's really the time where a lot of these singles started falling because those reprints happened. People were opening more packs, but then it jumped up to that 2-year high, $27.51, but then it's been basically going down since then. In January of 2023, it already fell over 20% to about $23.50, relatively flat up until June, fell down below $20, hit that 1-year or 2-year low of $19.48, jumped up a little bit and then fell back down. Now it's sitting at $22.08, so well off of its 2-year high, which it hit in March of 2022. So 2 years later, about 20% lower than where it was. Now we've got some really big droppers like this Tapu Lele GX. A lot of these gold cards just don't do it for people anymore. Collectors don't get as excited about this. Look at what this has done over the past 2 years. This is so sad. Oh my goodness. So in January of 2022, this is a really cool looking card. $24.77, but it's lost over half of its value. It fell pretty much the entirety of 2022 and 2023. It leveled off in July of 2023 all the way up until November of 2023 and then fell down even further, sitting at $11.98 currently. That's actually its 2-year low, which is absolutely terrible. And the Eevee Baby Shiny, we're only looking at one Baby Shiny, but a lot of them kind of following similar paths. The Eevee Baby Shiny just not performing as well as it once was, right? This was one time a $45 card. In January of 2022, it was sitting at its 2-year high of $22.36. The majority of 2022, it spent its time falling in price. August of 2022, it hit that 2-year low, or that 1-year low for 2022, and then started to rise a little bit where you thought, okay, well, let's jump back up over $20 in January of 2023, but then throughout 2023, it just went the opposite direction. Fell down to $14.21 recently. It's sitting at $15.45 currently, very close to its 2-year low, but very interesting to see what happens with single. I think sealed is great for Hidden Fates. People are going to like cracking packs for Hidden Fates for a very long time, as long as packs are relatively inexpensive. $20 is still a lot for a booster pack, but when you compare it to some of the older sets that are fan favorites, way cheaper than that. A lot of people are going to enjoy opening this for a long time. You look at a set like Evolutions, for example, which sells for over $20, $25 $35, and the chase card in Evolutions is a $40, $50 card. Well, the chase card in this set is a $400 card, between $350 and $400. So Hidden Face, it just makes sense for the long time. So the reprints definitely hurt it. It definitely destroyed it. But I don't think it's going to play a permanent impact on it, which is really cool. But you can let me know in the comment section down below what you think. I really appreciate you guys taking the time to watch, listen, hit that subscribe button if you like the content, leave a like, leave a comment, share the video, do some mouth-to-mouth advertising. You guys know what to do. I love you guys. Thank you so much for everything. I'll talk to you again tomorrow. Until next time, peace.